There we go. Okay, guys. Hey, it's Old Man G here, back again with another video for Red Devil Studio Live. Some episode of Red Devil Studio Live, podcast 5. We have a lot to talk about today. Thanks to everyone who has been tuning in, has been supporting the channel thus far. Just a reminder, if you can, please like, share, and subscribe to Red Devil Studio. Follow us on Twitter at WeUnitedX, and feel free to join. Feel free to join our Fantasy Premier League football spiel. There'll be a prize. It's a official Manchester United 2019-2020 shirt. So without me rambling on, let's go and let's get into the big stuff. So the big talking point, I think it was last week, and hopefully will be this weekend, was VAR. Specifically over the incident regarding Gabriel Jesus' goal and the fact that it was ruled off, it was disallowed for being handball. So I'm not going to go into depth of it, but I'm just going to go around. Josh, what do you think about this supposed controversy around VAR?
I think before VAR, that's not a penalty. But obviously, we saw a couple of the rules in June.
It wasn't really a penalty. It was about the goal.
Did I say penalty?
Yeah, it said penalty. Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
You're talking about Laporte who handballed it.
Yes, that's it. Yes, yeah.
Before VAR, that's a goal. That's fine. But obviously, after the rules, I think it was in June, it says even if it touches your arm and it leads to a goal or whatever, then it's going to be chalked off. But there's also a rule about it being deliberate as well. I read somewhere, and obviously that's not deliberate. You can't really get his hand out the way. Like it came quite quickly. I think he tried to head it, comes off his arm.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's happened now. There's nothing you can do about it. You can't overturn the decision. So pretty much you're just going to have to get used to it. I mean, Man City had, was it 27 odd shots? And like, if I'm Guardiola, I'm thinking, we got to convert more of them. Like, that's maybe more of an issue than the whole VAR thing, because it was 2-2.
Not even that.
Spurs were just clinical. So at the end of the day, Spurs were clinical. Man City went and they lost the game. I don't think. I'm sure, obviously, he's thinking, history's repeating itself again, but maybe they're not as sharp as they were last season. I think that would be 5-2 last season. That's me. So I think it's fine.
I mean, one of the things that wasn't even talked about, I'll come to my stuff in a second, that wasn't actually talked about at all during that game, which I think would be more of a concern for Manchester City, is the fact that the 2 goals they conceded were pretty bad. Like the first goal was, you could argue, should Ederson have got into a better position, and then the second goal, Lucas Moura comes on, he's literally just subs on, I think he was on for 19 seconds.
Yeah.
He just jogs. He's literally just on. He comes onto the pitch, just jogs, smallest guy on the pitch, and gets above Walker and gets the goal in. So, it's the problem. I think something with VAR is that another issue with VAR itself is that it would be very easy to blame VAR and then ignore actual issues going on in the team. So be like instead of addressing, which was the case in City, 2 defensive weaknesses, we're saying, well, the reason why City lost is because the handball, like Laporte said, it wasn't fair and blah 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 blah, and no one has even talked about the fact that, or been drawn to attention the fact that defensively, especially now that Vincent Kompany has left Manchester City, and I think I said this last week, I feel like there's an element of weakness there that can be exposed by other teams, because if they got at, I think they're vulnerable, which I think is slightly different to some other teams.
And they haven't even really been tested yet. Like, Spurs were chilling the whole game, and Lucas Moura, who should have been on from the start, to be honest, comes on. So any little threat that just comes on, bang, they concede a goal. So I think I completely agree with them.
Mustafa,
I agree with you 100%. I think it is becoming easier just to make VAR the main centre for discussion when it comes to teams not performing to the standard and the capabilities that you expect of them. I think you make a very valid point in terms of both of the goals they were conceded, but were easy goals. These aren't goals that we would have seen City. 100% Lucas Moura is not scoring a header. Lucas Moura, remembering this guy.
Yeah, shouldn't be.
He's like 5'7" or something. Do you see what I'm saying? Not to take it away from him because he did excellent. But like you said, City are lacking not quality but leadership in defence. I don't think it's a quality issue. I think it's a leadership issue. You had Company partnering with Stones or Company partnering with Laporte. You've got to remember Stones is 24, 25 now. Yeah. Laporte is 23, 24 now. Like that, yeah. They're both relatively young. I mean, okay, Stones has been around the Premier League top tier for a bit longer than Laporte has. But even still, they've not had enough experience just yet to fill the boots or lead the defensive line for Man City. And I think that's where we're seeing their vulnerabilities. I think this is why Guardiola was keen on Maguire this season, because Maguire is a leader in himself. On the contrary, I don't think Guardiola valued Maguire at 80 million.
Okay, yeah.
Because if he did, there's no way in hell he wouldn't have gone all out.
But I think you could argue that, to be honest, I think that's the case of City. City's maximum spend usually is 65 million. They haven't spent on
and it's
usually
on a fullback as well.
Yeah, exactly. A fullback or a midfield player.
But another key point, interesting point I'd like to make as well is it really is becoming easy, not just to blame VAR, but VAR. And it can also cover key discussion points that managers need to be having with their players. What I'm trying to say is, look at the Man United versus Wolves game. We played very well in the first half. Second half, we sat back. Wolves scored an absolute tremendous goal. It went to VAR. Now, imagine if that went to VAR, it got ruled off, and Man United won 1-0, and they played that well in the second half. Are we gonna? People would have been saying, "Oh, Ollie's at the wheel. Man United are back."
Just a brief one. Sorry, welcome to Newton Heath in our chat. Why are academy players get abused? Clarify that, because we're going to talk about Paul Pogba's issues later. So yeah, we should introduce ourselves during the chat. I do apologise that it's Old Man G here.
It's Mustafa, what's that?
And we've got Ahmed on the phone, an Arsenal fan as well, who'll be getting involved. Just please clarify. Just keep on posting in the comments about what you mean by why academy players are getting abused. Please let us know about that. Ahmed, can you give us a brief what your take on this whole VAR debacle is?
I thought it was very controversial. I think you guys were being quite a bit harsh on City there.
Okay.
I thought they were the better team. They dominated the match. Tottenham were a really good side. When you manage to dominate them like that, I thought they deserved to take 3 points. Do you guys remember? I think it was in the first half when there was a definite penalty incident when Rodri was fouled. I can't remember. I think it was Sissoko.
Yeah.
I'm not sure who took him down. And it looked like a very obvious penalty.
Yeah.
But then they reviewed it on the VAR and they thought, it wasn't a penalty.
Yeah.
I think that would have kind of dusted the game at that point.
So this is. I think.
On the whole, I concede that.
Go on.
West Ham concede for a team like City, and it will overshadow a lot of discussion. It was a really outstanding game of football. I thought. It's a shame that Bournemouth stole the headlines.
Ahmed, it was a very good game of football, but
no, you were saying?
I think our issue is VAR is new. It's not doing what it's been brought in or what it was intended to do. I think it's like a child with a new toy. He promises his parents he's only going to play on the weekends. But then once it comes into his house, he's on it every day and night, and his parents are now trying to discuss how do we get.
Shout out to Hayden, thanks for listening, man.
Can you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
VAR was supposed to be the very obvious decisions. Do you remember Man United against Tottenham a few years back when Carroll had a blunder and it went in, and then he pulled it out? That is what VAR's for.
But why I want to clarify, and I'll just clarify there. Just to comment, Newton.
It's cutting up quite a bit.
Is it cutting off? I'll just try and click on the strongest songs.
Can I call you on FaceTime?
Yeah, go for it.
Can I just make a very interesting point, Oman G? We're over here debating it. Name me one Tottenham player that reacted to that handball.
Doesn't matter though about
It
reaction.
didn't happen because the players weren't aware of it. And players are always calling for stuff, whether it happened or not.
But did you see?
Not a single Tottenham player called for this handball. How can I justify giving it? Do you see what I'm saying?
Sorry guys, we've got Ahmed back on. But you could say, okay, yeah. I'm just going to read Newton's comments actually. So Newton's actually said, okay, yeah. So we'll talk about the abuse that Pogba and academy players will come just after VAR. But it's a very good point, Newton. But he's also mentioned, he's saying more honest, no cheaters, which is another point I'm going to bring up, which is the fact that one of the things about VAR that no one is actually talking about is the fact that VAR essentially eliminates diving. It eliminates penalty diving completely. So when people talk about VAR's ruining football, I think it's quite ridiculous that like people say VAR's ruining football, and yet for years we've had teams diving, getting penalties, cheating, and getting results, and no one's saying that ruined football.
No, but no one is saying that for ruined football.
Well, people saying VAR's ruining football.
But what they mean to say is the extent of the involvement of VAR is ruining football. It's killing the momentum of games. You score a goal and you have to wait 3 minutes before you can celebrate.
But if the goal is wrong, factually, so for example, look at Ruben Neves. No, but the Chelsea Cardiff game, where that was offside, where the linesman didn't see that goal was blatantly wrong. Irrespective of whether they scored, so they scored, they said revolution, but it was a wrong goal.
That's what VAR has been brought in for.
Yeah, so you still
obvious incidents,
but you'll still take the jubilation from people because the players, as far as they're concerned, if it's just an issue of the players are, we don't want to ruin the experience of Egyptian players. You'll still get that with blatantly wrong goals. And the question of this VAR incident in Man City. The issue was not with VAR, but with the law. The law said, which ironically enough was brought in because City themselves complained that Llorente's handball in the Champions League led to a goal. So presumably City were like, we don't like the fact that it should be handballed completely, shouldn't be assisted, or anything like that. That rule was in place so that it was actually, despite what people say, or bring people in, that it should be clear.
Was it really City who put it?
Well, along the lines, I wouldn't be surprised, but the point is that like the rule now is actually very clear. It's like you can't score a goal or assist a goal with your hand.
Yeah.
Period. So there's no subjectivity in it now.
We're new to it, so I think La Liga. I don't know if the Bundesliga had it last year as well. So they've already had it, and they're going to be used to it now, right? So we're just getting used to it. We're 2 games in.
Yeah.
To be honest, by the end of the season, even maybe if we're halfway, I think people are going to forget about these discussions.
But what even boggles my mind is that VAR was used throughout most of the Champions League last season, and the Champions League last season was arguably one of the best Champions Leagues. Okay, the final was awful, actually. But to be honest, if we're talking about the final was bad, but I mean,
it was terrible.
But all the games up to it, some of the most entertaining pieces of football, drama. Me and Mustafa here yelling when we got the penalty. And so the idea that VAR will somehow remove passion and drama and stuff like that from the game, like, if anything, it created it. In bad circumstances, but
let's be honest, Giro. Even as Man United fans, had that penalty have gone against us, would you have been content?
I would have been disappointed, but I think it's different because
you never know.
It's never know because also as well. Let's be honest, we didn't expect to go to PSG, and so my expectation going in was like we got no chance.
Mate, that PSG win was the worst thing that ever happened to us, man.
Really?
That was our peak, and then after that it was just we honestly plummeted after that. We didn't win a single game after that.
It showed that PSG are the banter team of Europe, to be honest. Because
you say this, but I think teams like PSG, the amount of money they've got, the quality players they've got, the only thing they're lacking is adequate management. Imagine if you had a manager like Guardiola or Klopp managing PSG, Neymar, Mbappe, Verratti.
In what
Do you see what I'm
possibly,
saying?
But I think also we've got to talk about. I mean, it's a separate side, but I think it's also into the league as well. Because Pep Guardiola went to Bayern Munich, but he didn't win the Champions League with Bayern Munich. And when the nature of your league domestic is when PSG can field their second team and batter, and then or not just turn up and they'll still beat teams. Although to be fair, they did lose against Rennes in the opening game, so there we go. Oh, Newton is saying dive in the box and outside the box. Yeah, of course, it won't rule it out diving outside the box. And Pogba didn't dive. He was clipped by Cody, confirmed by VAR. Oh, no, yeah. Pogba didn't dive in against Wolves. No, yeah. There's no...
Pogba's mistake wasn't diving. It was taking the penalty.
Yeah.
That was James, wasn't it?
That was...
James was...
Ahmed, do you want to... just bring Ahmed in.
Ryan made a very, very important point about this James thing. He said when you move at such pace... And when you get kicked a lot, because Ryan Giggs came out and said like James needs to be protected by the referees. Yeah. It kind of reminds me like Ronaldo back in the day. Obviously, far different. Like Ronaldo was way
of course, yeah.
But he said these type of players need protection.
Yeah.
When you're moving at such pace and you get kicked so much, sometimes you anticipate it and you end up going over. Yeah. Which isn't the same as diving. Diving is trying to con the referee into getting a decision. But anticipating it is you're expecting to be kicked and you try to lessen the impact so you start falling. Yeah. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that was a dive.
Yeah.
But James doesn't look like that type of player.
Yeah. No, I agree. So Ahmed, do you want to just chip in on this?
So I think what Josh said was I agree with that. The fact that he was there in the Liga, and in the first few weeks there was a lot of criticism of VAR. It was causing a huge debate. And after that it seemed to die down a bit, and then there was the game that Real Madrid, I can't remember against who they lost 2-0. There was some incidents that that had got missed, and that sort of reignited the debate. But I think on the whole, it seemed to work quite smoothly. I watched quite a few games last year season. I didn't feel it kind of hindered the fluidity of the game or anything like that. And the fact that it really, it'll be a lot harder to get away with diving. I think it can only be a plus in the long run once you get used to it.
Indeed. I just think that people. I think the most important thing for this whole debate of VAR is that people need to discern a difference between. Well, they want to understand how VAR works, because I think a lot of people just assume that VAR is just a computer algorithm and not that there are actually other referees. So in the case of the penalty, for example, like the referee on field, well, essentially, they're trying to obviously not have minimal involvement from the off-site referees that are looking at VAR. So unless the referees off-field think, hang on for a second, we think that this is a penalty, and there's a disagreement, and they'll go to view the screen. But if all of the guys are in agreement, then that's a refereeing decision, and penalties are still somewhat subjective. So, for example, the one against Liverpool in the Super Cup, I actually didn't think that was a penalty. I don't think he barely touched him, not enough for him to go down. But penalties are still in the realms of subjectivity, like depending on how fast, who's there, etc., etc. So with or without VAR, the only thing that what VAR will do is VAR will say, was there any contact? And so diving, complete and total diving will be gone because you'll be able to see whether there's contact or not. But objective things like handball and offside, you can see. So did the ball touch his hand? Yes or no? Was he offside even by minimum? Yes, no. You can do that with VAR, and that's where VAR will be useful.
That's fair enough. But we've got to remember that football is a contact sport. Like it's not just.
But this is the thing. VAR, irrespective of VAR, that would still be. So if you took VAR away, you would still have that. For example, if you didn't have VAR, the referees might still not have given that penalty.
I know, but now when you look back at an incident and say, was there contact? All you're going to be really looking for is contact and not the impact of that contact. I think you can judge the impact of that contact better when it's happening rather than watching a video, because then your main focus is, did his leg actually touch his leg? Oh, it did, penalty.
But that almost summarised my point in the case of the Man City game, in that the referee was there, the referee saw the and didn't think that it was a penalty. What the issue is, a lot of fans are like, oh, but we think it was a penalty, but the referee saw it and thought it was penalty, and presumably the VAR would have seen it off field and thought, we agree as well. So my issue is that VAR in that instance has nothing to do with a referee's subjective opinion on whether something should be a penalty or not. Unless they haven't seen it, in which case that's when they come in.
I think VAR as well is going to make football, what we know, it's going to make football more by the book, because these referees, they know the rules. their main issue is not identifying something rather than knowing when to penalise.
Yeah.
And I think now all that's happened is VAR has given them a second set of eyes. So if something does go amiss, they can go back and know how to prosecute, how to penalise.
Sure.
A few more comments from Newton Heath, just reading them out here. So Newton Heath says, "What's the referee name for the Wolves match?" I don't know who refereed the Wolves match. Stuff's going to look that up. And then Newton Heath, SAF, Sir Alex Ferguson would have roasted him for yellow carding Dan James, or hell would have broken loose. No doubt about that. Normally Fergie would roast the FA and the media by focus on the referee's fitness. He's fat and gasping for air. Yeah, that's actually what Ferguson would have done. Taking the focus away from Pogba's penalty. That is a good point. And that's Fergie would also attack the VAR people not checking on Daniel James the card. That's a good point actually. And that's one of the things that we're going to talk about Pogba next. And I'm sort of semi disappointed with Solskjaer because you're right. Fergie would have done that. Fergie would have, rather than the narrative for been, oh Pogba, missed penalty, or penalty taker. Fergie literally would have been like, yeah, but why didn't the referee book that guy for a yellow card? What were the officials doing? And he would easily distract and play the media so they would focus on something else, on Ferguson's man to focus on himself. Whereas I feel with Ollie, because so many of his friends went...
Ollie's there to defend his players. Whereas Fergie was very, very clever in the way he'd divert the attention.
Yeah.
Fergie would protect his players in a way where he'd give the media something else to focus on. Whereas Ollie is more... He's more black and white. He'll just say, why are you focused on my player? Like the other day he said to them, all you seem to report is Pogba.
Yeah. I just think that some of that is also because a lot of people... Ollie's still a young manager, and a lot of the people that are saying these things are... Maybe there's some of them are ex-players, maybe some people around, stuff like that. And there's a lot of that.
But it's come on, man. The media's been focused on Pogba since day one. Since the day we were speculated with him, let alone signed him. It's just been all about Pogba. Now, which brings me to ask the question. We look back at some of the players that Fergie had. Loads of them were better than Pogba. But did you ever see any one of them players getting as much scrutiny in the media as Pogba does? Had Pogba been managed by Fergie in this day and age, would Pogba be getting this much scrutiny, this much negativity in the press? Would he be able to focus more on his football?
I don't think so, because for the reasons that we said, so we fans should help the team, man. Yeah, I agree, Newton. We should back the team as United fans. I definitely agree.
I'm not a United fan, so.
Well, we have two Arsenal fans. We have two Arsenal fans, United fans. But I mean, let's. We're on Pogba now, so let's talk about, before we go into reviewing the game week 2 games. Let's actually just talk about the issue. So, obviously, from the penalty incident, Pogba was subjected to racist tweets, a fair few on Twitter. The previous week, obviously, Tammy Abraham did a similar thing, and it brings the whole topic of racism in football again. I mean, these aren't chants at a stadium, but with the nature of social media and you being able to be anonymous and people being able to tweet, what is there anything to do? To be honest about the situation, Ahmed, I'll bring you in.
Someone, which footballer was? I think Harry Maguire.
Would Harry Maguire?
I don't know how this would work at all, but he was basically talking about
was he saying
people who use social media
should
have ID or something like that.
Yeah,
which if you just looked at the tweet by itself, you'd be like how would that even work? But it's not it's not wrong, because people you can make 10 accounts on Twitter, 9 of them can be troll accounts and 1 of them can be a main account or something like that. And if you'll so that if you do say something which is racism or bullying or discrimination or some kind of harassment, Twitter should be able, if someone reports you, Twitter should be able to trace that back to that person, or you can see something about that person if they're gonna want to do that. Because I've seen in America, there were certain people who wanted to troll boxers and things like that. The boxers would just turn up and see them and ask them for a fair one, and then they
kids stop doing it.
And, the people are recording things like that, because it's so easy to just
Newton. Yeah, we'll talk about your common Newton in a second. Actually,
obviously, obviously it's a new age, and in the past, like, there'd be players who would get abused, at games, which is, just as bad, to be honest. So, it's moved on from that, I guess. You don't see a lot of that, like being abused at actual matches, right?
But you can't now, because now they can identify who's doing it, and people get lifetime bans from the stadium. So
and that's why they just go to Twitter instead.
Yeah, exactly.
They know they're not going to get punished.
Because behind Twitter, you can hide behind a screen and really say what you want. I think
the other thing as well is that, I guess you possibly could argue though, is that it's the anonymity. You can't necessarily point out which fans are which. So there's the assumption that like these fans are Pogba United fans, but they might not have been fans of United at all. They might have been, because you can't say. You can't confirm that this person. It could just be some random person trolling. Maybe a scouse or something like that. I don't know.
Apparently, Man United are pretty sharp with dealing with racist fans and things like that. They had the, I think, highest amount of arrests or something like that. People are like, "Oh, that means your fans are racist." That just means dealing with their fans. That's all it means.
Exactly.
And the rest of them aren't that bothered.
Yeah, because I've been sort of traveling to times,
it exists everywhere, doesn't it? You cannot just say it's one club.
Yeah.
I mean, look at Chelsea. Like my favorite moment. My brother's listening in right now, and he's not gonna like me saying this. He's a Chelsea fan. My favorite moment in football history is after that incident in PSG where they wouldn't let the black guy on the train. Chelsea fans.
Yeah.
The next game, Chelsea scored. Kurt Zouma scored a header against West Ham, and the West Ham fans made my life when they started chanting, "But would you let him on the train? Would you let him on the train?" And I think we need this humour to combat the racism.
There is. I agree that.
I mean, all three of us sitting in here, for the people who can't see, we are of African descent, and I can tell you this: growing up in the UK, I've experienced racism, whether it's direct, indirect, whether it's conspicuous, inconspicuous.
On the metro.
Yeah.
I'll tell you.
Do you know what I mean? And we are getting sick of it. We are, honestly, mate. At what point in life can you just put your feet up and say, I can finally be judged on me rather than the skin of my colour? It's not just an issue with football. But the good thing that, Pogba, forgive me for saying this, I'm glad it's happened to Pogba and not to somebody else, because Pogba has a platform to combat this racism. Pogba has a platform to say...
Bring it up. So bring Ahmed, go and bring in.
I really agree with you. The fact that you haven't Pogba, there's a lot of traction behind it. I think at the final of the Super Cup last week, Tammy Abraham also received loads of abuse, I think, on social media after he missed the penalty against Liverpool. But that didn't seem to get as much traction as Pogba's incident.
I think you could argue maybe a part of it was because it was almost like a UEFA competition. So it was like, and it was another thing sort of where, because this is now. I'm not saying it's right, but I'm just saying that.
I think it's the stature of player. I think Pogba's just, mate. I follow Sky Sports News football all the time. Every time you open Man United's page, it's Pogba this, Pogba that, Pogba this, Pogba that.
Yeah.
Leave Pogba alone. I'm going to be like that guy who on Britney Spears.
This is.
Do you remember?
Well, this is, and just to bring in Newton's comment, is saying, Gary Neville criticism of Pogba's missed penalty doesn't help too. Fergie would have blasted too. Police on Twitter want to identify our people. Yeah, exactly. That's the Newton. But I think that's because Sterling.
I don't think Fergie would have blasted Pogba. Not publicly.
No, firstly, it says Fergie would have blasted Gary Neville. Sorry, I think about.
I think Gary Neville's taken it away from Pogba a little bit though. From what I was listening.
No, he hasn't. He's gone for it. He's gone for it. He's put it on social. And he's put it on. He's basically said there's no leadership in Man United.
Yeah.
I think everything that Pogba does, or anything Pogba is involved in, is just put under a magnifying glass and assessed to an extent.
And it was the same thing with Raheem Sterling, and I think now they've begun to back off with Sterling because frankly Sterling is basically
he's standing up for it. He's educated.
He's educated himself, but also more to the point, to be honest, Sterling is England's best player. Forget about Raheem Sterling is actually England's best player. So there's at some point realism and reality hits in, and it's if we get Sterling out of the way he's I think he must be joint scorer with Pookie, funnily enough, of Norwich in terms of goals he scored. He scored a hat-trick in his first game and then scored again against Spurs. So he is England's best player. And the pundits and people don't want to make him the poster boy for whatever reason, because Harry Kane's the poster boy. Right. Even though Harry Kane goes missing in August, apparently. Which is... but it's interesting. And my dad actually mentioned this, and that's new to if you're listening, is that we almost, the way that people talk about Kane getting missing in August, doesn't score, it was like a legitimate excuse.
Right.
Like, Pogba can't go missing for 4 games. He's a bad influence, he's doing this, etc. He can't go in 20 minutes. What's he doing? But Kane cannot score, and it's fine because, well, there's a reason, because he goes missing in August. When it's September, he'll sort of, you're like, what nonsense is that? Like, does any other player like that?
This doesn't stem from football. This is just structural racism. It's just the way the system, the way the country we live in, the way the world is designed. It's not just for football. It's for everything.
But one of the things that Sterling, I've endless points, Sterling emphasised, which I think didn't get enough credit when he got the subject of the talk. I think because he had a racial insult in the Chelsea ground. And one of the things I noticed that Sterling did was Sterling didn't actually focus on the incident as in the player who did it. What he said was like, it's the media, it's the fact that you guys. So he quoted, remember that like a newspaper article where he compared a local player and then another player, and it was like similar story, but the way they wrote it was about this and sort of. So what Sterling was trying to say,
this is it. This is structural racism. And the media is the force behind it. Media is the driving force.
Because the media pretty much backed off Sterling, and Sterling's not the main attention.
Exactly.
After he
and also the narrative, because for example, like if you look at for example someone like N'Golo Kante, I don't think I've ever read a negative.
That's because they don't get an opportunity to talk about N'Golo Kante, because A, he's a very good football player, and B, you never see him on social media going about talking.
Exactly.
You see what I'm saying?
So this is the big thing. So it's, for me, there's an envy, because there's an envy component to it, because Pogba is a status in quote type player. The same. I'm sure if we look at Cristiano Ronaldo's Twitter, you're probably going to see a lot of crap on there just because of how the status of who he is, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, but you'll never see anyone calling him racial slurs.
I'm sure they'll
call him a rapist.
I'm sure. Yeah.
They'll call him a rapist.
Yeah.
Might have to edit that out.
Yeah, you might have to edit that out. Ronaldo is the greatest of all time. He is the greatest of all time.
Sorry, you're about to say something. Pop in here.
No, I was just saying, Twitter is a bad place. You'll definitely find something on all ethnic players, I'm sure.
There's certain things I've seen on Twitter, even just simple things, like they post a picture with like maybe him and his like daughter, and then you see two trolls be like, "Go murder yourself."
Yeah, let me now make a quick point.
Go on, yeah.
So like, I think it's what you're saying earlier about it's institution. It's from like an early age, especially. We notice it more maybe in the UK and places like that. So like in school, like which one of us ever was learning about anything to do with
Ollie's too nice,
really?
Yeah. I agree with that, yeah.
Like we did, I think in year 8 or something, we did maybe like a week of the slave trade, but they just put on Roots. Do you know what I mean? And that's all you learn about sort of history of racism and things like that. Other than that, you're never really taught about racism in school. I don't know what it's like now, but I think you probably do like just about everything. So racism and homophobia and all this, you do them all as you know what I mean? But there's no real education for people. So you take a place like Newcastle. Newcastle, back in the day was like a really racist place, especially around like Westgate, places like that. Play kind of where like Asians live now in those places when they were just coming in, and so like it gets pretty much passed down from generation to generation. So if your dad was kicking out Asians and bullying them, then you're going to be like that. Your son's going to be like that, and until there's some kind of like education or shift there, then it's just going to be the same. There's no reason. I
don't even think it's because I don't. I mean, this is my opinion thing, but I don't buy the education because for the last, and I'm just like older than you, like over the last 20 even 30 years, there's always been a push of we just educate, then things will sort of get better. Like we don't. In the case of Twitter, we don't even know the educational because the thing is, the people the people that write in the articles, the press, the media, are educated people. People who would have seen a lot of these. They've been the people who would have retweeted the hashtag, racism out, etc., etc. So the point I'm trying to make is that and Sterling's point, I go back to Sterling's point, was a very, very educated response, was that at the end of the day, when you have people writing, and it does, in my opinion, come down, in a way, it actually just comes down to money. It comes down to the love to the love of money, in the sense that a lot of these, Pogba is a money seller, irrespective of whatever press that you give him. So if you look at a lot of these media organisations, if we spin out or put out what's likely to generate buzz, what's likely to generate sales, what's likely to generate profit. Oh, I know what I'll do. I'll type a negative article about Paul Pogba. That's going to generate media interest. That's going to generate clicks. That's going to generate advertisement, and that's actually where it comes from. Because no one's writing stuff about or making hype about nobody play, like Ryan Sessegnon or something like that. You know what I mean? But because black players are very talented, are very driven, and are very confident, and get themselves into public eye, they are by definition money makers. And the best way to make money these days in the media, frankly, unfortunately, is negative, rumour, gossipy types of the press. And with Manchester United in particular, the amount of slanderous gossip around the club, you'll hear, Ollie has lost the dressing room, all this sort of stuff like that. It's not true, but it gets clicks, it sells papers, it makes money, and I think that annoys me. That is what needs to change.
The question I have is, first and foremost, Pogba under the spotlight like this much scrutiny, this much negativity, it's very understandable for one to recognise why he could be unhappy at a club,
of course, yeah,
or unhappy in a particular country or playing in a particular league.
It's not going to be better in Spain, though. That's what opinion to clarify that. If he thinks that going to Real Madrid it's going to be better, especially when you saw Madrid fans towards the end, how they treat even Ronaldo. That's how they were slating him, giving him grief, the last, I think, 2 or so seasons. So if
they're ungrateful, though.
But
he's the greatest of all time.
So I'm saying, so if you think that going to Spain, going to Madrid in particular, you're going to run away from these issues, it's, I mean, it depends. You see the Inter Milan fans, they seem to worship Lukaku now that he's got there. So I don't know, But the point I'm trying to make is that we shouldn't just assume that going to a bigger club, in quite a bigger club like Real Madrid, all these issues will resolve if you see what a lot of those players get as well.
That's fair. That's a fair point.
A last point, and then we'll probably go into just going viewer. Newton Heath. United have 1.1 billion fans too worldwide. Yeah, that was, someone posted that. Post where the link was, because I don't understand how United can have 1.1 billion fans worldwide.
And I've read that somewhere.
Yeah, there's only 7 billion people on the planet. So you're saying 1 in 7 people on the planet are United fans.
It wouldn't surprise me.
That's crazy. And what's the point? Why aren't we spending more money? We're spending less than Arsenal Football Club, So it's which is.
Well, it's just this season, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, just this season, but I mean,
mate, your signing of the season was someone named after a chicken place, and David Luiz. Pepe's Peri Chicken.
Pepe will come good.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
guy's a baller.
Let's go into that. Oh, so we're going to quickly just review the matches from some of the matches from Game Week 2 before we go into the Game Week 3 preview. So the first match review, obviously, I think we've talked about City and Spurs. So I don't think we'll sort of dwell on that. So let's actually talk a bit about. I'm thinking who played against who? Liverpool. Actually, who did Arsenal? Arsenal played against Burnley. Burnley.
We played Burnley.
Thoughts.
You want to go first, Ahmed, or me?
I'll go first. I just thought. I think we're still kind of. It wasn't a great win. It was a 2-1, even though it was our home. I expected us to do better. But there were some encouraging signs. I think Ceballos played really well. He won man of the match in that game. And I just like the fact that he was quite, a lot of the time, he kind of added a bit of pace to our midfield because it's usually very pedestrian.
Absolutely.
And I thought that is like a really good one. I don't think since Kazan we had it on. When you compare it to when Xhaka is just passing the ball sideways and backwards.
Xhaka's not getting back into the midfield, bro. I can tell you that. There's no way.
I don't know. I feel Emery is a big fan of Xhaka. He stuck by him last year.
Do you know why?
Making more mistakes than any other player leading directly to goals.
I think because he sees him as a leader. I think he's captain for Switzerland. I think he is. So I think he sees him as like one kind of leader. Because I think it was last season. I think it was Cech, Koscielny, and him were the captains. So I can probably see the only reason because I don't really see
even the amount of mistakes. I just don't get. I think he likes him because he kind of controls the midfield. And there were games when he was introduced in halftime, you could see the difference. We actually dictated the play when he's
like against Man U.
But on the whole, I'm not a huge fan, and I'm hoping he doesn't start tomorrow. I'm hoping it's a Torreira game.
I agree. Yeah. I completely agree with you there. What I like.
Do you think that is there anything in the Burnley game because Ashley Barnes, you didn't keep a clean sheet. Barnes still scored. Is there anything because you're going away to Anfield? Do you think there was anything in that? Because we'll talk about the Arsenal Liverpool in a second. Yeah. But is there anything in the Arsenal Burnley game that you think concerns you just a bit?
Well, I can say what is positive, because I watch Liverpool's midfield with Wijnaldum, Henderson, and Fabinho, or basically when they don't have Keita, and Liverpool pretty much they can't really control it in midfield. It's sideways or it's over the top. So what I like about Arsenal and Ceballos is I know it was at home and things like that, but he would even come as far as CDM to come and pick up the ball and then drive it forward. Yes. He was comfortable on the ball. Obviously, I know Liverpool are going to suffocate us at times, and they're not going to let him, have all the control on the ball. But if he can even play a little bit like he did against Burnley for like 20 minutes of the game, then I think we're going to do well in midfield. And obviously, the game at the Emirates last season was a draw. That was fantastic. At Anfield, we played well for a little bit. We scored first, and then we kind of capitulated.
What was the score in the end?
It was 5-1. I don't know why he's laughing.
Anfield's not been a happy place.
Yeah.
Someone said the deficit of the last 3 games was like 12-2.
Against Liverpool?
Yeah. You can see as in at Anfield. So you conceded 5 and then conceded 4.
Barcelona. Yeah, anyway, so it's the same deficit, so we're just as good as Barcelona. Quick maths. But yeah, no, we just what I'm worried about.
This is our tie. This is our tie. This is our tie.
I'm worried about the counter attacks. If we play a back 4 and Monreal is then Maitland-Niles is can switch off. He's good, but he's not a natural right back. He's still
injured. It's
horrible injury, so he's still recovering.
Yeah.
But that's the only thing I'm worried about if we do play a back 4. Back 5, I'm fine. But back 4, if you got Mane and Salah running at you, then it can be a problem.
Back 5 is an issue though. Not many teams in the Premier League know how to pull off a back 5.
We did for a little bit. I think that's what we started off last season, and then we switched it around. We went
quite a bit.
Yeah, we weren't beaten for a while.
Because when United tried it didn't work. When Liverpool tried it didn't work.
I mean, the only team. David Luiz, who's probably one of the better defenders to have for a back 5.
Who's that, sorry?
David Luiz.
Yeah, he works better in a back 5. I agree. Yeah.
I was going to say the only team that's pulled it off have been Chelsea.
Oh, with Victor Moses in that season.
Yeah, under Conte.
Yeah.
I think that was.
But are we doing score predictions now, or is that later?
No, that's going to be later. We're just reviewing the Premier League fixtures from. So that was Sunderland. So Mustafa, just give a brief overview from what you found the Manchester United Wolves game.
It was we never predicted this was going to be an easy game. We knew it was going to be a tough one. We started very well. I like the energy that we have within the team. I think our biggest concern is right now Ollie has has kind of set this team up to be a counter-attacking team, which is a very effective way of playing football, but only when the other team wants to dominate possession.
Mm-hmm.
When you're playing a counter-attacking team like Wolves, playing counter-attacking football does not work. We lose possession so much, so easily. We really struggle to maintain it. I see Pogba is playing between the centre backs to pick the ball up, looks up, and there's no one to pass the ball to.
I think
I feel
that's the
Pogba
problem.
was wasted in this game.
I
wanted to see Pogba bombing forward, creating space for everybody else.
I mean, I think the way that Oli sets up, certainly in the first half, I think we set to actually go at Wolves. So we did, in the first half, we wanted to go out and attack Wolves. So in the first half, I don't think Wolves could do much of anything because we were all over them and they were just basically sitting very, very deep, just soaking our pressure. So we were on the front foot in that respect. But I agree with you in that, our midfield, I feel like our midfield, there's no real, and for me, McTominay should actually be the holding midfield player.
McTominay needs to get dropped.
But
this cannot be this can't be the standard. The only thing he's good is a good physical presence.
Who should come in though?
This is the problem. We absolutely had to reinforce midfield.
We didn't.
Herrera would have been perfect. I would play Fred over McTominay any day of the week.
Fred isn't fit yet.
He's not. I know, but you're saying in the long run, who would you play instead of him?
In the long in midfield, I would have
Fred. 100%. Pereira would have been better because even Pereira, he's not the best player. Pereira looks to go forward. He looks to try and create.
Yeah.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
McTominay lost possession so many times last game. Him and Lingard were absolutely appalling, mate. And James as well. James is not ready for that type of game. James was good. I understand why he was on the field.
He played against Chelsea.
I know, but he came on the last 10 minutes.
No, I mean Daniel James, he's not ready. It's like against Chelsea,
yeah. But see, I understand why he was on the field. He was on the field because Southampton.
Armin, what are you doing?
I'm there, yeah.
Oh, I know there's a crackle or something like that. What are you doing?
I think the reason Daniel James was there is because they counter-attack and he's very, very quickly, so he can get back very, very quickly and help the defence. But going forward, it's just not ready. See what I'm saying?
The issue is,
if I was not shot, the way I would have set up.
Okay, fine.
I would have started with Lingard on the right.
Okay, fine.
Okay, and I would have boosted another man in midfield.
Who?
Maybe Pereira. Maybe and who else do we have that can play in midfield?
Matic.
Matic.
Well, exactly.
He's not ready yet.
Exactly. You essentially what the solution is. You only had Pereira or Matic. So,
but don't get me wrong. I'm not
to come in.
I am not the biggest fan of Pereira either. It just shows the stuff like our midfield this year is really going to struggle, mate. It's really.
So that's why I think that's why I think that Pogba unfortunately is playing that role. Is because Pogba is arguably because Pogba can hold on to the ball because you need a defensive a holding midfielder needs to be able to hold on to the ball and win the ball quickly and get the ball forward. Pogba can do that. But McTominay and the others can't do that.
What Pogba can also do?
Yeah.
He can also run with the ball and create space.
Yeah, exactly. That's his best position.
He needs to tackle Pogba once he starts running.
Yeah, that's his position. But because we don't have anyone in the midfield that can do either a good holding midfielder job or good attacking midfielder job, and that's why I don't understand when you're not some United fans and Newton, if you're still there, I don't know what you think, but. That say, at the start, we can do it without Pogba. We can't do it without Pogba.
We can't.
We can't.
This is my biggest concern now. Is next season he's unhappy and he tries to force a move. What are you going to do? You're going to sign 3 new central midfielders. Tell me, how would you recover from Pogba leaving right now? It's absolute suicide. It literally is suicide. Do you see what I'm saying?
But anyway,
don't get me wrong. All in all, it wasn't a negative result.
But anyway, before
it's not a negative result.
That's good. Yeah,
it's a reasonable result.
Yeah, because it's it's an improvement.
If you didn't hammer Chelsea, then
but even then, it's an improvement over last season because we went to Monu twice last season and lost.
They let's forget the penalty. The penalty is irrelevant to me because the game is 90 minutes. It's not over one kick that was missed, for 1 minute basically. Yeah. Second half, we didn't show up. We did not play in the second half at all.
Because
when they pressed us, we had no answers to them at all.
Because they had an impact substitution. Adama Traore. Adama Traore wrecked. He wrecked our midfield and even our defence to a certain extent. That one player came on.
Gire. We're talking about Man United here.
Yeah, no, I know.
We need
but the point is that what I'm saying is that Wolves, the manager Wolves brought on an impact substitution. He came on and he bossed it.
Gire, let me tell you this: if Wolves were 1-0 down to City or Liverpool at half time, that game's finishing 3 or 4-0. You know why? I'll tell you why. Because especially with City, because City know how to keep the ball so well. They know to maintain possession. Wolves are coming out looking for a goal. They're pressing. They're committing more men forward. What you need to do is you need to pass the ball into space in the channels to get past their press, and then their defence is exposed and you run at them. And the more they keep pressing, the more their defence is going to be exposed. You score your second, you score your third, it's game over. Then it's literally kicking someone.
When City were Molyneux last season, they only took a point.
Was City up 1-0 at half time? I don't know. I can't remember.
I think Wolves were. I might have been.
It was a 1-1 draw.
It was a 1-1 draw. I don't know who scored first.
But the point is, Wolves are not naturally a pressing team. They sit deep.
I think
Wolves scored after. I think
Wolves scored after. Yeah.
Okay.
So the point I'm trying to make is that City. We'll force it there because we need to move on as well. So just giving the loan of funds because we could talk about United. This is a United fan channel, and if you are listening, please like, share, and subscribe to Red Devil Studio. Would really appreciate your support, guys. So let's just quickly go with some of the other games that were there, and we'll bring Team Takagi and Ahmed in as well. So we talk about Arsenal, talking United. Let's just talk about Chelsea-Leicester, actually. Chelsea won, Leicester City won. Ahmed, thoughts?
I thought it was a game of two halves.
Okay.
In the first half, I thought Chelsea were quite on top. Towards the end of it, especially in the first 20 minutes, they were swarming all over Leicester, and I thought they're going to make amends for the hammering they had the previous week by United. But in the second half, I think on the whole they were actually really fortunate given the second half. How Leicester came back. I thought Leicester were a lot better. And let me tell you, James Maddison, I think I rate him more and more every time I see him.
That guy's a baller, seriously.
He should have if he had a bit more composure. To be honest, James Maddison should have put Chelsea to bed. To be honest, it should have been Chelsea's second loss.
Leicester got a team,
and that's so. Ahmed, and this asks the question: do you think Lampard should be concerned? Because they lost to 4-0. They played well against United, but they still lost 4-0. This is them at home against Leicester City. Played well in the first half, just slightly different, but almost lost, arguably. Do you think Lampard should be concerned?
They should have lost, yeah.
And arguably they should have lost.
They should have lost. I think he needs to tweak his midfield, to be fair. I think the minute the opponents have the ball, it's too easy for the opponents to get through at his back four. I think that midfield gets overrun really quickly. So I think he needs to work on that.
Yo, Ahmed. Mustafa last week was saying to Chelsea how it's going to be harder and harder to motivate the players. You're saying something about you lose the first game, but you played well. You lose the second game, you played very well. And then the third game, was it a draw, was it?
Yeah, and they played well in the first half.
So what do what's going to happen?
I think the point of hammering was that was really harsh, to be fair.
Well,
It was harsh, but now that they run the risk of player morale plummeting, and then where do you go from there?
Who are they playing this week?
So they're playing Norwich away.
Norwich on fire.
And right if Pookie, when you got someone who
you guys put them in your team.
I didn't, stupidly enough. I did.
Not to drag you back to the whole Wolves situation. I just looked it up.
Yeah.
Wolves last season were 1-0 up against City. City equalised. It finished 1-1.
Okay.
The return game, City hammered them 3-0 because they scored. Yeah. So it just shows because they're a deep counter-attacking team. When they sit deep, if they score first, it becomes very, very hard to score against them because they're gonna defend.
No, I agree, and that's what happened to us last season when we went to Molyneux. They scored first, and we found it difficult. Armin, so yeah, go on. We're talking about Lampard, weren't we? Yeah, go on.
I think Mustafa's point from last week is valid as well about morale becoming an issue. But I think it's a bit early still. So hopefully they'll come around. I want to see them do a bit better than they're doing currently.
Okay, no, fair enough. Okay, so that's Chelsea's game. So lastly, before we move on to just previewing.
Let's talk about the Liverpool.
Yeah, so let's talk about the Liverpool games. That's what we're going on to now. So we're 40 minutes in. So Liverpool 2, Southampton 0. Sorry, Southampton 1. Sorry, that one goal, to be frank, was a bit of a joke. From I'm not entirely sure what Adrian was doing.
I don't know. It happened Adrian last season. That's why Klopp. That's what I like about Klopp. He was like,
you know,
it happened to Alisson last season. Look at him now. So I'm not saying Adrian's ever going to be that good, but I think he's all right.
Yeah.
I think it's just a lapse in concentration. They won the game at the end of the day. That's the main thing. I think Southampton.
The goalie gives Liverpool. Goalie gives the.
Does that mistake give Arsenal fans a bit of joy?
I think the way the game ended after the goal, especially, I felt.
Because there was another chance where they could have scored. Yeah.
I think they were lucky that they won that game. Actually.
Sorry.
And that gives me a bit of hope, but I don't think they had an entire week to prepare. I think they went to Europe in the middle. For the
Mo L.
Oh, that's one of my friends here. Yeah.
What's
up, Mo?
Mo L, sporadic. What are you chatting about? Chelsea's a project. We lost our best player, transfer ban.
Sporadic. Mo El Garay, the only Sudanese guy that sounds like he's got a Mexican name. Mo El Garay, arriba. To briefly, just address Mo's point before we went with Liverpool. Chelsea is a project. I mean, of course, no one here is saying I think Lampard out or anything like that. The key that we're trying to sort of say is that should Lampard as the manager, should he be concerned, because Chelsea are playing good football and they've got bright talent, they've got a lot of good stuff going, but at the end of the day, the question is, I guess, what is your expectation for Chelsea? Because is a 12th place finish in the Premier League okay for Chelsea Football Club, with or without Lampard? That's the point I'm trying to make. So if you go to Norwich, who have got a very good informed striker, and he scores a hat-trick against you, Chelsea have handicapped.
You know.
The club has handicapped Lampard. You can't sign anyone.
But this is the thing. But Chelsea, in theory, Chelsea have enough quality players to beat Norwich. They have enough of them to beat Norwich City. So if you're losing against Norwich and Burnley,
but they haven't won all season. I know it's only 3 games that they played, but morale is a huge thing.
Of course.
You've got your players have got to believe into your tactics, and the more you're not winning, the less they believe into your tactics. It's a bad time for them to be playing Norwich.
I mean,
Norwich have come up. Yeah, Norwich have come up into the league.
They played against really tough opponents, and they didn't do that badly. So I don't think they should be too worried just yet.
Not yet, but it will become an issue. I mean, bearing in mind that
because for me the concern for me for Chelsea looking at them is that, and I said this in the United Chelsea game when it was United got a bit lucky, etc. Was that but it's the total capitulation. So it's like I have not seen. It's still early days in the season, but and maybe it's a fitness thing, and hopefully the fitness will be better. Without Kante, frankly, if you took Kante out of that team against Leicester, they definitely lose that game, 100%, no doubt about that. There is this sort of almost capitulation where they'll play really good for maybe 30, 45 minutes, and then for some reason the midfield, they just capitulate. So against Leicester, you're like, what the hell happened in the second half? Like, what happened? Why did they just capitulated? So that means my concern is that if they go to Norwich and bang 3 goals in the first half, they'll be okay. But if Norwich go into the first half with maybe a draw or 1-0, who knows? Because it just seems that they seem to not be particularly consistent in games.
Even though I'm not saying David Luiz is an amazing
player
or whatever, but I think you could see he was a bit of a leader. Like at Chelsea, I think people maybe looked up to him a little bit. He's not, he makes errors and things like that, this and that, but he's a veteran, if you know what I mean. He's experienced.
Guys, I feel like Chelsea are missing quality, not just experience.
Well, which doesn't help.
Sorry, Rudiger is out. Yes, that's a good point, Ahmed.
Really good last season. What are you saying?
Yeah.
Rudiger, he was good last season.
Yeah. Okay. Fine. The positive sides for Chelsea are Hudson-Odoi is yet to come back,
Loftus-Cheek.
and Loftus-Cheek is yet to come back.
Who he was a monster. Like when he came in, he was like.
But they're lacking quality, man. They're lacking quality.
Yeah.
Like when your most creative player is Kante, you've got an issue there because Kante is an amazing player and he'd walk into any starting 11 in the world, honestly. But he's not a playmaker.
Yeah, and he can't do everything.
That's exactly it. Do you know what I mean? You can't be going forward and having to sprint back 50 yards to try and recover the ball. It doesn't work like that. Do you see what I'm saying?
No.
They are lacking quality.
Yeah.
It
Although
begs
the Mason Mount guy against Leicester, he looked
Mason
very
Mount
good.
looks good.
He looked very good.
But
yeah.
gee, there's a reason they've recruited Frank Lampard this year. Name me one other top manager that would have taken on this Chelsea project this season. Sarri wanted out of there as quickly as possible. Name me one manager with a world-class reputation that would have taken on this project this year.
But I think part of the problem is they sacked all of them, didn't they? Which is another thing.
Mate, Allegri's available right now.
No, I think he became available after the whole
It was speculation that he was leaving. I think it was pretty clear.
It was. But I think it was around the same time. So Sarri was Allegri left.
It's not the market's not as great as it has been, but there are still a few managers that are available there. Majority of them have better reputations than Lampard.
Of course.
My question is, who would take on this project? It's literally set up for failure. I do not understand people that predict Chelsea to finish top 4 this year.
But
how can you see them finishing top 4 this year when they've lost their best player? They're lacking quality. Bearing in mind,
Newton's saying
this is the team at the most fresh they're going to be. This is the best they're going to be for morale at the beginning of the season. Freshness, players aren't tired.
Well, they'll have players coming back. This is the thing with the Rudigers and stuff like that. And even we're not talking Rudiger. What about like Hudson-Odoi, Ruben Loftus-Cheek, and stuff like that?
So those are players with potential. They're not established players yet.
They played Ruben Loftus-Cheek.
Okay.
And even
Hudson-Odoi.
Yeah.
Hudson-Odoi.
Christian Pulisic.
The
point I'm trying to make was just that Chelsea, all the players I've seen also, those players, I'm sorry, I don't buy it. There's the quality there to beat Norwich's, Burnley's, Palace, etc. Transfer ban or no transfer ban. I'm not expecting.
They should be beating Norwich.
Yeah, I'm not expecting Chelsea to go and blitz City or even to United at home.
It's away, isn't it?
Away, fine. But if you're struggling with, despite having this talent to beat. That's why I asked. It goes back to the original question before we went to Liverpool. Is the expectation on Chelsea fans for this season for Lampard? Because yes, no one is expecting you to challenge for the Premier League or even to go head to head with the top 4, even. But what my concern is that if you are then struggling to then beat Norwich at home or Burnley away, etc., at what point do you go? Do we sack Lampard? Do we keep him? Do we what is the expectation? Is the expectation to not have any European football at all for anything? To just basically just give the young players a tryout, and then next season when you have when you can open the transfer, you can do a proper rebuild. That's the thing.
Do you want to hear something ironic? I think best manager for the job this year for Chelsea would have been Mourinho back in his day. A manager that can sit back, frustrate you, and then let his team play on the break.
Yeah.
I think he would have been there for sure.
Well, let's quickly just finish up with Liverpool. So Liverpool, Southampton, 2-1. I think the last point, just an Ahmed, do you want to hit in on this? Is basically, and I think as we go into the previews, is the one player I think that Arsenal need to be very wary of, and that is Sadio Mane. Sadio Mane's goal.
Everybody has to be aware of him.
Sadio Mane's goal against Southampton, and even against Chelsea in the Super Cup.
He's arguably unplayable. When I've seen him, but I think obviously because he's African and all these things, he doesn't get the credit he deserves, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because I saw him dominate Bayern Munich last season. I'm not saying they have the best defense.
Yeah.
I just saw he was making people look foolish.
And bearing in mind as well that he was the only one that played against Barcelona. So Firmino and although I think Firmino's important.
Salah was there. Salah gave him an assist.
Salah was there.
Salah wasn't great, but he gave him a nice assist.
He was the only one there against Real Madrid. is what you want
Oh,
to say.
yeah,
in the
yeah,
final.
yeah, yeah.
Well, Salah play against Barcelona?
He did.
He
No,
did.
Barcelona. Oh,
Yeah.
no,
Barcelona.
Bayern Munich, sorry.
No, I'm saying Barcelona. Like Firmino and Salah were out of that leg returning to Anfield.
Oh yeah.
Mane was playing though,
because
and Origi was there,
Salah
and
got
I
injured
think
against Newcastle.
Shaqiri was up.
I thought it was just Firmino.
No, Firmino and Salah because Shaqiri started. I remember.
Oh, yeah, you're
So they
right.
played a front three of Mane, Shaqiri, and Divock Origi. I'm still perplexed as to how Barcelona lost with that front three when you have Messi, Suarez, and Coutinho. I think were there, and you put that with Divock Origi, Shaqiri, and Mane. You know what I mean? You know, but Barca banter anyway.
Feasible,
It was Ronaldo, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's mad.
So without the impact sub, you know. So, but the point I'm trying to make is that as we go into this preview, and let's talk about now. Let's go. So we're going to talk about the previews for the upcoming games now, guys. And the big one is, and we'll let Ahmed and Team Lukaku speak about it. Is the big game is Arsenal Liverpool. Arsenal away to Anfield. What are your thoughts and expectations on this, Ahmed? Do you think Arsenal have a chance?
I'm not very optimistic, I'm afraid. I'm like hoping for a potential draw, but I think we're still kind of trying to get to play the Emery way, which I don't think we're quite there yet.
Okay.
Ceballos gave me some hope with the way he played last week. It was a huge difference compared to Joe Willock when we played Newcastle in the first week. And I think if we were to get anything out of this match, he'd need to be on top form, Ceballos. I think I worry defensively that we're going to be too leaky again. I think the Sergio Mane is firing. I think he's going to be a lot of trouble. He'll be a handful for all of our defenders.
Okay.
And just our fullbacks are not great defensively, especially our right back, Maitland-Niles. So I think on the whole, I'm hoping for a draw.
So what's your score? So what's your score prediction? You'd say?
I'm gonna be extremely optimistic and say a 3-3 draw.
A 3-3 draw.
Yes.
Who's okay? Who's scoring those Who's scoring those goals?
So I'll give Aubameyang to score 2.
And
Lacazette to score 1. And then on the other end, I think Firmino will score a brace, and you have Salah with the other one from a penalty.
So Mane's not going to score, you don't think?
He'll probably assist too.
You know what, Ahmed? This is why we like you, because you're such an optimistic guy.
When was the last time?
But you need a reality check. Get over here, man.
Let's let the Arsenal fans finish. So Team Takage, what do you think? Predictions. So what do you expectations? Game. What do you think?
Oh man, Anfield is Anfield. You go there thinking you can do whatever, and it's just a different animal. I think only Man United can play at Anfield for some reason. I don't know what it is. I just only think Manchester United players can play there. I think everyone else just struggles. If I was being optimistic like you, bro, I want to say a draw. I really do want to say a draw, but I don't know if I can. I'm going to back my team, though. I'm going to say a draw as well. Probably 2-2. I think we're going to score first. But I still think we're going to concede. And I remember Firmino, what he did to Socrates and Mustafi last season. That was just... that was
stuff.
We don't need to talk about that. You had people dancing, falling on the floor, breaking ankles. I don't know what was going on. But and I think if I honestly would start Pepe just because it gives that kind of unpredictability. Obviously, we've seen him come on and play how he plays and just kind of take people for granted and make them look like a mug. But I think if we play him in maybe like a 4-3-3 or something, or maybe like a 5-back formation or whatever, it'll give that kind of like unpredictability. So how are we going to deal with him type of thing? Obviously, Robertson's a fantastic left back, so Pepe's not going to get past him easy. But I think if we play him, you got another wide player there who, and we've seen that Trent can get exposed this season. We might get a few goals. I'm not saying we're going to win, but we couldn't have a draw. We'll see. Yeah, I'm optimistic like you, man.
So
yes, keep the hope alive.
It's funny that our optimism doesn't reach as far as a win. But yeah, too soon for me.
So who's
Aubameyang? I'm going to give it to a midfielder. I'm not sure who, but whoever plays the midfield that day, I don't know. It could be Guendouzi, could be Ceballos. I'm going to give them one, and then I think Firmino will get 2.
So you're saying 2-2.
Yeah.
So okay, fine. So 2-2 and 3-3 results. So yeah, stay tuned for that. I think the playing is at 5:30 kickoff. Arsenal versus Liverpool.
And is there an early match as well?
There's an early match. I think that's. In fact, I think there's a match going on right now. Actually, I think it's Everton versus Villa is actually kicked off as well. Actually, so just going into the other games of this weekend. So bringing Mustafa, Manchester United versus Crystal Palace. Thoughts?
I expect to see the team rebound and come out with a lot more positivity, energy. I want to see the players rally for Pogba and all the abuse that he's got over the weekend. I think this is just going to make him stronger. I don't think Pogba's the type to be affected by a few words from someone that he doesn't even know. I want to see a big performance here. I want them to come out and show people that they are not afraid to play football. More importantly, after dominating, I want us to see out a game. I want us to see Man United keep possession and just pass the ball around. Do you know what I mean? I think we're lacking that, honestly. I think we need to start with the same back four that we have for the first 2 games. I think this will probably be a more suited game to start with 2 midfielders and a central attacking midfielder. I think, I would like to see. I can't wait till Fred's back because I have a good feeling about Fred this year.
I like Fred.
I like him as well.
He ended well last season.
Yeah, I think Pogba and Fred, they'll probably have to play in a 3-man midfield.
Yeah. So you think we should play 4-3-3? I see no reason why we.
Actually, I think tomorrow against Crystal Palace we should probably go 4-2-3-1.
Why? Why play 2 holding midfielders against
not
against
holding
Palace?
midfielders, central midfielders, and a central attacking midfielder.
We played that formation against Wolves.
Yeah, exactly. Away at Wolves. This is a formation you play at home when you're more comfortable with the ball, want to be more attacking. Yeah. I would if I'm playing counter-attacking football. I play a 3-man midfield. I wouldn't play 2 midfielders. You want to stop the counter-attack, don't you? But I think this is probably the right game to have a central attacking midfielder. Maybe I don't know, man. I wasn't convinced by Lingard. I'm very pleased. I'm very, very pleased with what I'm seeing with Martial and Rashford so far.
I agree. The link-up play is good.
Yeah, exactly.
Very, very good. And with Pogba as well, all 3 of them together. I've seen the penalty which Pogba won. I don't know if it was Martial or Rashford backheeled it.
It was Martial.
Yeah.
It was great. It's great football. I'm liking seeing Rashford lift his head up and look for Martial rather than just trying to bang one in from 40 yards like he did last season, you know?
Yeah.
All in all, I suspect that we should be winning this game.
I agree.
I should say we should be comfortably scoring 3 goals against the Crystal Palace team that hasn't really started performing yet.
And have lost their best defender to us.
Wan-Bissaka.
So, Jesus. Our Wan-Bissaka is. I mean, even against Wolves, you know. So he was arguably one of our best players.
Mate, do you know what I love about him as well? Do you know what I absolutely love about him? Like his tackling's amazing, but he's got this tackle that he does where you think you're past him, and then he wraps his legs around you after you've gone past him, and then still tackles you. He gets the players' hopes up, thinking, "Oh, I'm past him," and then he just Spider-Man is probably the accurate.
Spider-Man is accurate. Yeah. Like he's like Spider-Man. He's literally. But that is because he could potentially go on to be one of the best right backs in the Premier League. I think he will be. He will be. People are saying Trent Alexander. But I think what people are saying is if you could combine the 2, because Trent is great going forward, but defensively,
exactly.
Whereas Wan-Bissaka is brilliant defensively, but forward is still not. Although to be fair, against Wolves in particular. Like, he gave Lingard two clear assists. There were 2 opportunities in the second half where he literally played the ball straight to Lingard's feet in the penalty area, and he scuffed. I think he scuffed one, and then did the other one. If he's clinical, that's it. And those could potentially be 2 1% assists.
The second one that just went past him. Yeah, that was Martial. He's controlling and issuing 100%. And Martial, what a start to this season he's had. I think he's going to score again. Yeah, I think
Martial is the best finisher you go, so.
By a mile. That finish against Wolves was on his left foot.
That's a really an animal when I think about it. But he came to Premier League young too.
He's still young. Martial is
only like 19, 20 when he first came for Monaco?
Yeah, he was 19. So I was actually watching some of his goals from like when LVG was there. And the signs were there, man. This guy's... He's all right as a left winger, but he's a central forward. The signs are there. His finishing is the finishing of a striker. You see what I'm saying?
Dribbling's good too.
His dribbling's good. His movement is good. He scored 16 goals from centre forward in his first season for Man United. And then we stop playing him on the wing, and then Sanchez comes, and then we switch him off to the right flank. Like, it makes me wonder how much better would Martial have been if we just kept him up front. For the past 2 seasons, you'd be a lot more of an established striker right now, wouldn't you?
I agree. Right, okay, let's move on to some of the other games, going back to Salmon again, so coming up this week. So we've talked about United Crystal Palace, and obviously the big game with Arsenal Liverpool. So let's go on to Chelsea's game. Chelsea are away to Norwich. Ahmed, what do you think? Thoughts? Chelsea away to Norwich.
I think Norwich failed. A very attacking game, and if Chelsea show up like they did in the second half against Leicester, they're probably going to be in trouble.
Okay.
But I think they have sort of worked on that this week, and I'm predicting a 2-1 to Chelsea.
Okay, 2-1 to Chelsea. Who to score the goals?
Pedro probably to score 1.
Okay.
Sorry, I don't know. It just sounds funny. It's just me. I don't know why.
Pedro to score the goals.
So Pedro and Pulisic.
Okay.
And of course Pukki
for Norwich.
Man like Pukki.
Fair enough. I forgot with Mustafa actually your score prediction and who scored goals against Crystal Palace.
Against Crystal Palace?
Yeah.
Martial to bag a brace, Rashford to bag one.
Okay.
Actually, you know what? Nah. Pogba will score.
Pogba will score.
When Pogba scores, you're going to see the whole of the United team unite around him.
Yeah, that's what I like. That's the thing what I like about United.
It's going to be a powerful moment, and the fans are going to be behind him.
Yeah.
Pogba.
Yeah.
It's going to be like when Rooney was back at United.
Yeah. It's going to be good. I'm gonna be there at Old Trafford. If anyone wants to bump in, I'll be there at Old Trafford tomorrow. Okay, so going round. So Team Takage, Man City away to Bournemouth. They should be fairly quick, I imagine. What do you think is?
No, that should be light work. That's light work for City. Very light work. I don't think Bournemouth have started that well. Although
you think triple captain Raheem Sterling is a good idea?
Yeah, what's his name? Who's went down to Bournemouth to? I'm trying to think who it is. Who's at Bournemouth now?
What manager do you mean?
No, player. I can't think.
Is it Harry Wilson that you're thinking of?
I like him, you know.
He's decent.
I actually like him. Like, obviously, he had a good season at Derby. Some Liverpool fans are saying he's a bit inconsistent, stuff like that. But if you got a player who can score outside the box, that's really valuable. Remember when Coutinho's way better, but remember when he just used to put outside and then just stand everywhere against it. Doesn't matter which keeper.
R2 square.
Yeah, right. That's why I was surprised when Liverpool actually let him go on loan this season, because if you want an option who can maybe carry the ball in midfield and pass it and have that bit of creativity, he's one of those guys. Yeah, so that's one to watch this season because he's a real baller. But I think Bournemouth might get one. I think City maybe put at least 4 past them, especially after the game against Spurs. They're going to be pissed. So yeah, 4-1.
Okay,
4-1. Say scorers, do I?
Yeah, go for it.
I think Sterling will get 2 at least. Maybe Jesus, and maybe Gundogan penalty or something. He takes penalties, doesn't he, Gundogan? Yeah, I think he does. So, yeah, I like Jesus too. He's a hard worker. I like him. But he's a bit temperamental, but he's young and Brazilian. come from the streets and all that. But I like him. He's a really good player.
I think they signed him at a good time as well, because it won't be long before Aguero was starting to.
Yeah, man. You see that little tip with when Aguero came off against.
With Guardiola,
and then the goal scores and they make up.
Yeah,
and then
I know people say that's passion and all that, but I don't really like that personally. That kind of stuff. And I think that should be behind closed doors. I don't think you should make a public display of stuff like that.
I don't know how they're feeling now, because like literally, as soon as the goal was scored, they were like, "Yeah, they embraced." And then VAR cancelled it, and you could just kind of see like
it's a bit awkward.
Oh, it's funny. It's funny. Oh, it's very, very funny. Right. Okay. So we'll just preview 2 more games. Well, we'll just preview. Give them quick scores to the rest. Spurs are actually playing Newcastle at home. Thoughts, Ahmed?
I think this will only go on with 3-0. I'm thinking for Spurs.
Who to score?
Newcastle have been so poor. And they've had such trouble creating any sort of chances. And this news about Sunderland potentially getting taken over by a really rich American conglomerate, which surely that's going to make Newcastle.
That's actually what I think.
By tomorrow.
I think that's what Hayden was actually speaking about in the comments. Actually, he was saying about. Did you hear about the takeover? So apparently he's the 24th richest person in the world.
And he
wants to buy Sunderland, which
is a very good investment for him at this time.
Yeah, exactly.
It's actually a club with stature, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Whether we like to admit it or not.
And also, like, it's the previous. To be fair, the previous person who bought Sunderland actually got rid of the debt, so Sunderland doesn't actually have any real debt right now.
Right.
So, because they went down and they were bought by someone else who then cleared their debt.
Okay.
Now they want to sell them, so he's buying a club that's actually not in debt, but obviously not what he wants to
make
be.
A bit of money,
So he can put obviously that's in the club, and you can have a scenario where Sunderland end up going into the Premier League and Newcastle get further and further while Mike Ashley still remains. So but go on, Ahmed. Sorry, just wanted to do the preview.
So Son is back. I think from his 3-match ban.
Yes, I think
I'm not sure. And I'm not sure that Dele Alli is back, but I'm thinking Son will be like fired up and raring to go. So maybe a brace for him.
Okay.
And a goal for Kane.
A goal for Kane. Okay, so 3-0. Not even Newcastle score any goals.
No.
No.
No, mate, I agree with you there. Newcastle aren't scoring.
Steve Bruce maybe the question is, will Steve Bruce be in the Newcastle job by the end of by December?
Yeah.
The thing is, I don't know.
Yeah.
If they fire him, they face the trouble of.
Yeah.
I don't think they'll have many choices of people to take over.
Yeah, exactly. That's it.
People will be willing to.
Yeah.
Unless they go for like the assistant to take over for the rest of the season.
Yeah, exactly. He's not going to be there because they performed well. It's just he's going to be there because Mike Ashley's not going to sack him.
Yeah.
Because he's got someone who's going to do exactly what he wants and not give him stick about it.
Yeah.
Benitez stood up to him.
Right.
That's why he's
out. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's the shame, unfortunately. Right. Okay. So we're just almost going through the. Sorry, guys. Almost just going through the comments and the fixtures. Wolves Burnley. That's an interesting one to call. Wolves are at home to Burnley.
I think Burnley are on a good run of form as well at the minute.
Mm-hmm. Well, they lost.
I think I've Ashley Barnes in my team. So
yeah. So it's Barnes. Like you said last week, he's just a thug in the box. He's a beast, honestly. I think he was a bit fortunate to score. I mean, it was very good positioning.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very good positioning. The ball came to him in a good place and he put his chance away. Wolves are a better team than Burnley, I have to be honest. The way they play football.
The only thing I'd say is
the quality they have.
The thing is though with Wolves is that, as we said at the start, Wolves set up to go on the counter attack. So the problem with Wolves that you see is that when Wolves play,
interesting to see how they'll see it.
Well, that's the thing. They always struggle against smaller teams, So because against a team like Burnley, it's like when they are then expected to have the ball, to play, to be in possession, they don't seem to be able to know how to deal with that type of game, which is why on the one hand, they can beat Manchester United at home, but then they can lose to Huddersfield. And you're like, how does that work? So because when they're expected to have the ball, for some reason, I don't know whether it's the manager or something, they tactically can't. So I'm interested to see how, because as the away team, Burnley, Sean Dyche will set Burnley up to not concede. They'll sit back, and so Wolves will have the possession. And the question is, will Ashley Barnes be able to bully the likes of Bowley and what have you in their defence and nick one or so goals? Because if Burnley do score first, once again, Wolves don't have the players, I would argue, to break defensive-minded teams down. They've got great players to do that themselves, but I don't think they have them to, if that makes any sense. Or this could just be a 0-0. There's a very good chance that this could be a very, very 0-0-esque game. I wouldn't be surprised.
Quick question. Barnes or Pookie?
We're going to come to fantasy football in a second. Let's just quickly finish the main previews. We're going to have fantasy football top picks. So the last couple of games, we'll do 3 games actually. So Team Takage, Brighton, Southampton. Quick.
That's a dead game,
Dead game.
Where who's at home?
Brighton at home.
Probably.
I think Brighton will win it.
Yeah, so do I. Maybe Brighton 2-0.
Okay.
Yeah, Brighton have been good.
Yeah, we'll go Brighton 2-0.
Brighton 2-0. Okay.
I like the new winger, Trossard. He's actually good.
Okay,
Yeah.
Ahmed, Sheffield United at home to Leicester City.
I think Leicester will edge this one. Probably a 2-1, I think.
Sheffield won last week, didn't they?
Sheffield United did win against Crystal Palace though last week.
Yeah, I think Leicester. I really rate Leicester.
Yeah.
I think they're a really good team.
Yeah, they look like they're very. Brendan Rodgers is a very good coach, and they look like pretty solid. So I agree with you. And then Mustafa, lastly, Watford West Ham. This could also be a brilliant, because both teams have not, I would argue, started well at all.
Yeah,
It's just a must-win game for these two teams, I think.
On a positive note, it was nice to see Kishirito score last week, wasn't it?
It was.
I don't know why he didn't play in the first place. He's going to get a few goals every season.
Yeah,
at least.
he is a good player, isn't he? He's a very, very good striker.
I know you were one of those people when he left Man United, you weren't too happy.
I wasn't happy at all.
happy.
His positioning and understanding of space is just as good as anyone.
Yeah.
To answer your question, I think it's probably going to be a draw, isn't it? Like a 1-1 or something.
I think
boring game.
If it depends, because I feel like I don't know what's happened to Deulofeu, because Deulofeu was a baller and he seems to have just.
That's probably why Barca got rid of him though. Inconsistent.
He's just gone. Troy Deeney is past it. A bit. So
he's getting old.
You could Decore if he plays. Decore and Pereira, can do things in midfield. But again, they've not really.
Haven't you been more disappointed by West Ham?
I have been, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's just that. But the thing is, because of where Watford finished and the fact that their team is so much the same, I guess I felt they would have, and especially because the games Watford have played against, Watford haven't played anyone in the top 7 yet. West Ham, to be fair, played against City when their first game. Then they played against.
Watford was surprisingly difficult to break down last season.
Brighton it was, yeah.
Watford was so hard to break down last season. I remember watching Arsenal against them, and they struggled. But this season,
we only won because they had the players sent off.
Yeah, exactly.
And even then, it was a struggle.
Exactly.
Yeah, there was a period where Deulofeu, Deeney were just
bossing
people. Capuy was playing well. Decore was playing fantastic. But yeah, that was last season. So
cool.
We'll see. Okay, fine. Okay, so we're almost done with the podcast. Just over an hour long. So thanks to everyone that is listening. So we're just going to end with top fantasy football picks. So last week, if you remember, I actually recommended you put Pookie in your fantasy football team. I didn't personally, which is a bit annoying. And he scored a hat-trick. So listen to what I have to say.
I already had him.
We'll quickly go around. So you must have got a load of points from him.
I got 57 last week.
In total?
Yeah.
How? Oh, well, yeah, 57 was quite a low. Yeah, I think I only got.
It was a low scoring game week for everyone.
Yeah.
The highest scoring people were getting 60.
That's true.
I had Martial as well.
It's true.
Well. I think my defence let me down. But top picks.
So let's go on top picks, and then three things: top picks, who you should captain, and then do you think you should play any chips? So
Are we
we'll go
talking
with,
for this week? Because this game week's already done now because the game started.
yeah.
So
Okay,
this is for next week.
Fine.
Next game week, you have to,
Yeah.
absolutely have to get Raheem Sterling.
Okay.
City are playing Brighton at home.
Okay.
It's one of them. Chelsea are playing Sheffield at home. Maybe get someone like Pulisic. She might have a game. Big game next week. Arsenal versus Spurs. You know Harry Kane likes to score against Arsenal, so he's not a bad shout as well.
So who'd you be your top?
If I had
top picks?
If I had to get one player for next
You
week.
can no pick three. Who'd you think in different positions? So defense, midfield, and we'll forget about keeper. Defense, midfield, and then forward.
So defense, I'll probably get a City defender because they're going to keep a clean sheet against Brighton.
Okay.
So I'll probably get one of their fullbacks just because they get assists as well.
Okay.
Maybe Walker. But the issue with Walker is you're always worried that it's going to be the game where Cuadrado finally gets a chance, and then the week that you've picked Walker, what's not Cuadrado? Cancelo gets to play. So yeah, one of the City's fullback, maybe
Zinchenko.
Zinchenko.
Why can't I say his name? Zinchenko. Get Sterling 100% in midfield.
Sterling 100% midfield. Okay.
Problem with City strikers is you can't predict who's going to start up front.
Yeah.
They'll both get a game, but one of them will play for 30 minutes and the other will play for 60. So up front, I'd probably maybe get.
Villa are winning, by the way.
Yeah, they are 1-0. They're winning 1-0. Maybe up front, maybe Vardy or maybe Tammy Abraham.
Vardy or Tammy Abraham.
Yeah, for next week because Chelsea are playing Sheffield United at home and Leicester are playing Bournemouth at home. I think they might not.
And who would you captain? And then we'll move on.
Sterling all day, triple captain Sterling.
Triple captain Sterling. Okay. Ahmed, what do you think?
I have to agree with that. Defender probably put in a City defender. So maybe Laporte or Zinchenko. Zinchenko would actually be a really good shout. Sterling is probably a really good shout to have. It's probably going to do quite a bit of damage. I've also put one of the Liverpool players. Think of the Liverpool players. They're playing Burnley away next week. And that might be it. I think this is the kind of game where Salah would shine.
Okay. And who would you? And so your top. So your top three picks, and then who would you captain?
So my picks would be Zinchenko, Sterling,
Okay.
and what should I put? And Liverpool midfielder probably.
Like Mane or Salah.
I'd go for Salah.
Okay.
And I'm captain Sterling.
Captain Sterling.
Yeah.
Okay.
I
Team
mess
Takagi.
up. You don't want to hit I mess up all the time on fantasy. I changed my team, but I forgot that I made transfers, but I forgot to actually put them in the team. So I got Martial on the bench. I got Ashley Barnes on the bench. I was going to put Zinchenko as well for not Sergio Rico, the defender for Bournemouth. So my team's looking a bit of a mess right now, if I'm honest.
Oh dear.
And I've got Digne and Richarlison as well, and Everton are losing, so that's a good start as well. But yeah, obviously I put Pookie in my team. They're playing.
They're playing Chelsea.
No, this week they're playing Chelsea.
This week's in Chelsea,
Next
but
week
next
they're
week.
playing West Ham.
Is this for next week?
This is for next week. Yeah. Because this game could start, you can't change anything.
I mean, West Ham look like they can concede as well, so Pookie's still a good shout, really. Brighton defenders as well are usually a good shout for anybody.
Not when they're playing City away.
Oh, is that next week?
Yeah.
Okay. Not next week. Liverpool players are always good at having defence. They usually keep clean sheets. They messed me up last week, though. That stupid goal from Adrian. I would have had 12 or 14 from Van Dijk and Arnold. But yeah. So Pookie and any Liverpool defender.
Okay. And I'll give my sort of shout. So I'll just look at the wild cards. So, for example, from a defensive point of view, to be honest, I would probably maybe look at some of the Wolves defenders because Wolves are playing Everton away. Everton haven't, from what I don't think we see the result they're losing right now. Like they don't seem to be scoring a lot of goals either home and away for whatever reason. And we know how Wolves set up. They set up to defend really well and then counter attack on the break. So I think if you have any Wolves defenders, or you want to put in Wolves defenders, that actually might be a good shout out for that game. I think Doherty and Bowley can potentially do something. From a midfield point of view, Man City obviously is a big shout in terms of like getting Sterling in there, or Liverpool in terms of Burnley if you can get Mane or Salah. If you want a slightly cheaper option, and to whom I think might be able to sort of do the business. Possibly, like Arsenal playing Tottenham, I think there will be goals there. A midfield shout to Dani Ceballos, so they'll be at the Emirates as well, and we know that Arsenal. There's a very good chance that Arsenal will win at the Emirates, and there's a very good chance that he'll be involved in assists there. So that's certainly something that they might not score a lot of goals. So you might want to, but from a midfield and assist point of view, that Danny might be a good shout.
Do you know what? This is probably a good time to mention. I think this is going to be the most balanced North London derby that we're about to see for quite a while. For the past few seasons, it's been relatively one-sided in terms of form, squad strength.
Yeah.
Tottenham have been more dominant.
I actually beg to differ. Last season, what happened last season? Do you remember?
Arsenal won.
We won, and then they beat us twice. I think. Oh, was it a draw? No, it was a draw.
It was a draw.
I'm saying in terms of the strength of the squad.
What happened the season before that?
They beat you.
They beat us once, but I think we beat them once, didn't they?
It's true.
It was the one.
Yeah, but I'm saying in terms of the strength of the squad, it's more balanced this year because Arsenal have strengthened. They've got a central midfield around a centre back.
I think Ahmed's point is that it's not like Arsenal and Tottenham have completely dominated Arsenal in the game. So if Arsenal have strengthened, then it means that Arsenal are stronger.
Single point last season. I think last season was a bit different to the seasons before that.
Last season they got to the Champions League final though. Where were you?
In the Europa League final. So
I was in the final as well.
But it didn't end well, we know that.
Why are you saying that with the biggest smile on your face?
You can see these two right now.
But anyway, just to finish my final football point. So yeah, Dani Ceballos is meant for a good shout, and then sorry before I forget, I would also maybe look at one of the Leicester midfielders, like a Maddison, for example. So because Leicester home to Bournemouth, you'd expect that maybe. Like Maddison, or even Fraser for that matter, depending on how you think the game will go, might be a good influence in that game. And then up top, Pookie guys, I'm sorry, so Aubameyang or any Arsenal fans might be because you know that it's going to be feisty. You're guaranteed to get a goal. The London derby is not going to end 0-0, so even getting an Arsenal forward is probably a good shout. But I would certainly say from a forward point of view, if I was to bank on it, I'd put Pookie in, if you don't have him already, into that team. Because I just think West Ham defensively are not good. And even if Norwich lose, I still think Norwich can score at least 2 at that stadium because it really isn't a fortress. That's about it really. I don't think there's any other out and going forward that I could say that you could really put into side for maybe... If you think that Southampton will be a good way, maybe putting Marcus Rashford in. So I would captain in that week. I would actually captain Pookie because I'm fairly confident he could get at least a brace in that game. So that's it. So those are fantasy Premier League picks. Thanks to everyone who's tuned in. Really appreciate everyone who tuned in, who watched. Please like, share, and subscribe to Red Devil Studios. Follow us on Twitter at WeUnitedX. Stay tuned for further videos. We're going to be at Old Trafford tomorrow doing some post-match stuff regarding the Crystal Palace game, and hopefully we'll have a positive win. Stay tuned next week as well. We'll have another episode, hopefully, of Red Devil Studio Live, or to break, we don't know, we'll see. And yeah, thanks to everyone, guys. Thanks for being part of the show. Thanks, Ahmed. Thanks, Mafa. Thanks, Team Takage. Have a nice evening, everyone. And cheers. There we go. Ooh. Stop the stream.
Hey, good show, guys.
Thanks.
Yeah,
Well,
nice
I haven't
one.
stopped the stream yet. It's still
The
running.
internet's gone off, you know.
Is it? It's still going. 1 second.
Yeah, the internet's gone off.
Okay. I think we stopped. I think the stream has
Just
stopped.
turn off the laptop just to be on the safe side, you know?
I'll just. Sorry.
It's still live here.
Yeah, I'm just. Sorry, yeah. I'll call you back in a bit, Armand. See you in a bit. Let's have a quick. Yeah, I think it must be stopped now. I'll just double check.
What's that? Is that my new phone? Oh,
No. If wrestling is fake, explain this.
Have we stopped? Is it still streaming?
Alright then, should we get cracking?
Yeah.
Cracking.